Y'all have no idea how many times I've tried to record this. Thing keeps lagging. I don't know what's happening, but we are back. Here it goes, lagging again. Oh my god, like it can't handle fast movements or something. I don't know, but yeah, man. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. It's the Off the Cliff Show brought to you by 14th and Market Podcast Network. We now know who the Sixers will be playing in the play-in tournament. We also have injury updates for Joel Embiid, Anthony Melton. There was some egregious stuff going on across the whole NBA today, as far as playoff seeding, who wanted to play where, what seed they wanted to be, should they win the games, blah blah. We'll also talk about the Sixers' path through the playoffs and possibly getting to the Eastern Conference Finals or possibly the Finals. We'll see what that looks like and what we also can expect from our Sixers, from Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and everybody on the team. So we'll get into that, but without further ado, here's the intro. All right, y'all. So we know who the Sixers will be playing in the play-in. They will play the Miami Heat on Wednesday in the play-in tournament to determine if they can keep the 7th seed. If not, they lose. They will play another game in the play-in. They will then play the 8th seed, play for the 8th seed, but hopefully they can beat Miami. Miami is one of those teams where I do think that they suck, but they are one of those teams that plays entirely too hard. Y'all already know how I feel about them and their high school defense of playing zone and full court pressing and doing everything because they can't really play any defense. Y'all know how I feel about that. So, are a tough team to play in these one and done situations. If it was a series, I would have the Sixers and possibly 5. But one and done, you never know how Jimmy Butler will come out, seeing as he is playoff Jimmy, or if we want to really give him that name. So, yeah, they will play them Wednesday night. Also, they could have gotten the 6 seed. Well, they needed everything to go right for them today. To get the 6 seed, absolutely nothing went right, of course, because it's the Sixers. I think so they needed the Pacers or the Magic, either one for them to lose one of those games, and the Sixers would have had to beat Brooklyn today, which they did. But of course, Magic played the Bucks. Bucks looked like they wanted no parts of the 2 seed. They didn't want to play that game. They brought no intensity to beat the Mavs. Mavs blew them out. I believe they blew them out 115 to 188 or something. 113 to 80. Pacers also beat the Hawks 157 to 115. So both those teams won their game. Speaking of the Bucks, looks like they were trying to avoid the 2 seed and actually avoid playing Philly and or Miami in the first round. Might be something going on with Giannis's injury. Don't know if he's going to be fully healthy, of course, with his calf. But yeah, the Bucks were one thing, but the Cavs, it was just egregious. So they were up like 12, 13 points going into the fourth quarter, and they decided they just wanted, they pulled all of their starters. They were playing the Hornets. They pulled all of their starters and purposely lost the game so they wouldn't end up in the 2 seed and have to play the Sixers, which is ridiculous, right? Because like, all right, I get it. You tank for draft position, right? Like I'm all for tanking for draft position because you're trying to make your franchise better. But in sports where the whole point of it is to be competitive and it's the best of the best playing against each other, and you're supposed to clash, and that's how you're supposed to come out and see, okay, who's the best team here? That's what the playoffs are for. They literally are ducking teams because they don't want to be in that situation, and they feel like they have a better chance going up against the Magic than they do the Sixers, which yeah, arguably that's right, right? But in sports, you don't want that to happen. As a professional league, you don't want teams ducking from other teams when it's the playoffs, and this is where the high competition. The playoffs are supposed to be the 16 best teams in the NBA, right? It's supposed to be where these 16 teams, there's no difference. They're all supposed to, technically, they're all supposed to have a chance at a title shot, right? So nobody should be ducking anybody, no matter what the circumstances is, right? Like, I get it, might want to try to have an easier path to the playoffs, but we've seen that doesn't always work, especially with the Sixers and how they lost to the Hawks back in 2017 or 2018. I forget what year that was, but how they lost to the Hawks. And you can't just go, you're not always going to beat the lower teams. Like, sometimes fluke stuff is going to happen. So like, just having like, but it outwardly like being like out there like that, like obvious that they were tanking and they were trying to get out. They did not want the 2 seed after the Bucks lost. It was crazy. It's like, it's a crazy watch, and it's like what I'm seeing the NBA become is something that I have to talk about at a later date. But whatever, man. Like, that was just crazy for me to watch. Uh Also, game today, Sixers versus the Brooklyn Nets. Nothing really to take from there. Maxey looked fine. Everybody looked fine. I didn't care. Like Tobias hooped. It was a game that it was never in doubt from the beginning. Like nobody really cared about it. I knew they were going to win. The more important thing that came out of this game was prior to the game, Nick Nurse said that barring anything like a setback or anything, Joel Embiid and D'Anthony Melton will play. 5 minutes. This is like 15 minutes before the game. 5 minutes before the game starts, Joel Embiid and D'Anthony Melton are out. What? For what? Then it came out like they were just sitting Embiid for precautionary reasons, like which I get, right? And you're risking him playing in a game, and I guess it wasn't even meaningless. I guess you're risking him playing in a game, risking further injury. But my thing with Joel is right. So every game that he plays in is going to be risk for injury, and you're going to always manage his knee, right? But the whole point of him resting the 2 to 3 months was for him to come back possibly as healthy as he could, which he's probably playing at maybe 85%, 90%, probably closer to 100% than we all would expect, right? But if he sat out those 2 to 3 months and now like he's coming back and you're still having to manage the knee, like sit him some games, like if he's not ready to go and ready to get back in shape, get back in rhythm, then in my opinion, he shouldn't have he should have just sat out longer and not come back. If you still have to manage it this way, where you're like, we don't want to risk it. Like this is the like if this was the middle of the season, I probably wouldn't have cared. But like the playoffs are this week. Like he has to completely get back in the room. He's only played 3 or 4 games since being back, and he still has not looked great. Like the numbers have been great for Joel Embiid because he's a great player, but he hasn't looked great. He hasn't looked back to his MVP caliber self, which is like it's okay. Like he's gonna get there. He needs to get in a rhythm. He needs to get into shape. But him sitting out games, especially a game like this, where if they lost, they don't have the 6 seed now. Like hindsight is 2020 though, right? Because if they lost and the Pacers or the Magic lost their game, then the Sixers will be stuck in the 7th spot and will possibly dropping down to the 8th because they didn't play their best player and they don't have him. Okay, this needs to be a playoff mindset. We need to win every game going forward to possibly get the 6th seed, right? And I get both sides. You don't want to get him hurt. It would have been like if he did play in this game and they didn't control their own destiny, right? So if he didn't play in this game and you're like, well, I'm twisting my words, but if he did play in this game and they win and he gets injured or something like that, or they lose, right, and he still gets injured and the Magic and the Pacers still win their game, right, then it's like, all right, well, we played them in this game for no reason. We're going into the playoffs anyway, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, you want your season to get your seeding to be at, to be at the 6th spot. So I get both sides, but my opinion is he's going to be this way for the rest of his career, or he's been this way his career. Every game, he is going to be at risk of getting hurt. It's just who Joel is, right? He's a great player with injury problems. We're going to be worried about him getting injured every single game. He's probably never going to play a full season. He's going to have to sit out games, and he's going to get hurt. But it's just, I guess, managing those injuries, I guess, like for as long as he can. I don't know, man, but I just feel as though if he is back and he feels good, he should be playing, right? And that's what scares me a little bit because he tweaked his knee versus who did they just play? He tweaked his knee versus the Pistons, I think. Who they just play? Oh, he tweaked his knee versus the Magic, right? And then Nick Nurse says he was a full participant in practice. Like they reevaluated it. He seemed fine. And then you come out and say, all right, we're just going to sit him for precautionary reasons. Now it's making me think like, all right, is the knee a bigger issue? Like, did it swell up? Like what possibly could have happened? I don't know. But that's just my thoughts on it. It's not really that big of a deal. The Sixers are still in the same spot. They're in the 7th seed. So thank God that all worked out. It was just a weird. It's just it's the way the Sixers manage things that like it's annoying, bro. It's like they just do everything to piss the fans off. Really, like it was a whole back and forth on Twitter. Like some people got it, some people did it, but like we all got it at the same time. Like each other's side. It's all because of the Sixers and how they like push out news. It's so weird, yo. Yeah. Look, let's talk about the path that the Sixers will now have. So they will now hopefully if they win their playoff game versus Miami, their route will be the Knicks, Bucks, and then the Celtics, I believe, right? Um, and it's hindsight. I mean, not hindsight, but it's iffy on the Bucks because they could lose to the Pacers. If Hallie's hammy wasn't cooked, then I would say the Pacers probably win that series in 6, depending on the Giannis injury. But yeah, so that series could clearly go either way for me. But yeah, I think I do like this route. The Knicks without Julius Randle, they still are a tough out, but they're just not as tough as I believe. A lot of people are saying, like, Knicks fans are even scared to play the Sixers, right? But a lot of like Knicks fans are like, all right, we need Julius Randle. Without Julius Randle, we're not gonna make it far. Like, we can't have OG and Anunoby being our number 2 scoring option. Like, which I get it, right? But like Jalen Brunson has been playing on an unbelievable MVP level. Um, for this whole season, actually, that Knicks fans are saying they play better without Randall. I don't know how true that is. I do think that the Sixers have the upper hand here with I guess, a fully healthy, quotation marks, Joel Embiid. Tyrese Maxey finally coming into his own and actually looking unstopped. He's looking like the best player on the Sixers right now. Honestly, it looks like he can't be stopped. And he's, like I say, he's working out of the mid range. He's getting all the way to the cup. He's drawing fouls. His three is going. Kelly Oubre playing on fire right now. Tobias has even been playing good lately. So the Sixers look like they're rounding back into form of the team before the Embiid injury, where they were the best starting 5 in basketball. We will see. But like I said, versus the Knicks will be a foul. They're one of the best teams in the East. As it shows, they are the 2 seed in the East. They will play hard. They will grind out games. They're going to throw everything they can at Embiid and Maxey. Thibs with his defensive schemes and what he can do to kind of frustrate it. And we also have to worry about what Joel Embiid looks like versus good teams else. We've seen, like, he hasn't looked great versus those second round teams, which are actually the good teams and title contenders. He hasn't looked great against them, right? So I have to see how he fares. Has he really matured into the Joel Embiid? Can he take the in season, regular season stats and bring them into the playoffs and bring that same type of intensity and play in offensive game into the playoffs? Can he finally raise his ball? It's hard asking an MVP to go into the playoffs and raise his level of play, but is what Joel has to do to bring Philadelphia a championship, right? I really expect Tyrese Maxey to possibly play out of his mind. This will be his first playoffs where he is the number 2 option, possibly number 1, depending on what Joel looks like. But the way he has looked, he is ready to take on the challenge. He takes on the chin. He's like, all right, whatever y'all got, bring it. I'm here. Like, it's whatever at this point. So I really expect him to take a leap during these playoffs. It's going to be him and Brunson going blow for blow, depending on, they might have OG and Anunoby guarding him, honestly. And then we'll see if the Sixers can slow down Jalen Brunson. But my opinion, Sixers do take that series in 6. It'll be a very tough series. Embiid in the Garden will be amazing. But like I said, it's all depending on how Joel raises his level of play. If Joel gets even back to the MVP level or form that he was at prior to the injury, I do think the Sixers take that series 5 or 6, because without Julius Randle, the Knicks, they're just not at full strength. They'll be counting on Jalen Brunson to basically carry them on their back for a 7-game series versus Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, Kelly Oubre, Tobias Harris, Buddy Hield, Campaign Cowler. Like, it's just a toll, and the depth of the Sixers which is insane to say, but it's the depth of the Sixers that might wear them down. We know how Thibs plays the Knicks into the ground every season. So we'll definitely see about that matchup. Like I said, it's going to be a great series as long as the Sixers can handle business versus the Miami Heat in that playing game, in the first playing game. That is a must win, just for who you want to play, what side of the bracket you want to be on. You don't want to end up on the side of the bracket. We have to play them in the second round. So, with that AFC, like I said, then they would then go on to play Pacers or Bucks. I know a lot of people wanted the Bucks in the first round. I don't think I wanted the Bucks in the first round. Like, I don't think that they're the weaker team. I think we think they're the weaker team because of Doc Rivers. But before the Giannis injury, I think they were on a little run. That they were on like a little hot streak. They're a weird team, like they were. That, all right, remember when they played the Sixers, and I don't even know, Joel didn't play, and it was like that recording of Bobby Portis saying, like, the Bucks are back. It's looking like the old Bucks. And like, I was like, oh yeah, like they do look like force, and they're figuring it out. They're gelling, and they went on like a little streak, and now then they lost. They would like lose every other game. They took a loss to the Pistons. They're a weird team. I don't know if I would want to play Dame and Giannis in a 7-game series in the first round of the playoffs. Honestly, I mean, I didn't care. I told everybody that like they're going to have to beat a good team, whether it's the Knicks, the Bucks, the Celtics. They're going to have to beat a good team in the first round of the playoffs. Rather do it when Joel is healthy. But like I didn't care. I'm just saying like who I would have preferred. I think I'm cool with dealing with them in the first round, get the toughness out of the way, bang with them, and then go into the second round, play either the Pacers, who I think the Sixers would wipe off the floor. I just don't think that style of play that the Pacers play, it transitions over into the playoffs. I just think that teams are more focused on stopping what you do best, and the Pacers don't really have it. And like Hallie's hand cooked, so it's like whatever. So Bucks versus Doc Rivers, that'll be in the second round, and then they would go on to play the Boston Celtics possibly in the Eastern Conference Finals, and then possibly, you never know, but probably the Nuggets in the finals. So that is their route. Yeah, playing game on Wednesday. What I will do is I'm now on Playback TV. What I'm going to try to do, if you are listening, what I'm going to try to do is oh my god, my desk keeps shaking. What I'm going to try to do is I'm on Playback TV, so I'm going to try to stream the game and then post game go live on YouTube. I think that's going to be the best option. So we'll see how that goes. And yeah, so appreciate everybody for listening. Like, comment, subscribe, no matter what you're on. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, like the video, leave a comment. If you are listening on Apple Podcast, Spotify, like it, follow, subscribe. It's all free. Helps me out. Also share it, do whatever you got to do. But yeah, we out, and hopefully I will see y'all on Playback TV for that first playing game versus Miami Heat.